Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Johanna and welcome to my cozy book space. So for today's video, I'm going to be doing my November mid-month wrap-up. I read 12 books in the first half of November, so let's get right into it. First book that I ended up reading was actually a comic book, I think you would classify it as. It was Fang by Sarah Anderson. I did read this in one sitting. This was absolutely lovely. It was a love story, a romance between a werewolf and a vampire. Our heroine is a vampire and our hero is a werewolf, and it just goes on how they met and little scenes of their love story. The illustrations were absolutely beautiful and I just had the best time. I did find myself laughing out loud and just overall smiling and giggling, and I just had such a good time. I ended up giving it 5 stars because I truly loved it. Second book I ended up picking up was Spookily Yours by Jennifer Chitman. I gave this book 4 stars. This is a romance between our hero Damien and our heroine Willow. Damien is cursed into being a cat, and our heroine had previously had a cat, and they usually call them like their familiars. Our heroine is a witch, but she lost her previous cat and now she's like ready to get another cat. And when she goes into the shelter, she picks Damien. But she ends up helping Damien break the curse, and this is their love story. It is a fated mates story as well. It is very, what I say is it insta-lovey? It's very insta-lovey. It's very cute. It gives very cute Halloween vibes. There's nothing scary about it. It is also spicy. I overall really loved it. I enjoyed the book for what it was. I did love our hero Damien. He was a shadow daddy. He was tall, dark, and handsome, and those are my favorite. I honestly am really intrigued. I will definitely be picking up book 2 because it is between Willow's sister and Damien's brother, and that whole aspect and like that whole like world thing. Very interesting. Don't want to go too depth into it because I don't want to spoil anything. I definitely think you should read it though. You don't have to read it in the spooky season, but it just gives a spooky season, and I think the second book is gonna come out in October of next year. So overall 4 stars. I really loved it. Third book that I ended up picking up was Love in the Time of Serial Killers by Alicia Thompson. I gave this book 4 stars, but I think it's more of a 3.5 star, rounding it up to a 4 star. There wasn't anything particularly wrong with this book. I just don't think it's very memorable. I did listen to this and it was a really good time. I loved the narration. I did love the romance. It is a very character driven. There is spice, but it's like barely. Give it like 1 chili pepper. We have our main male character Sam, and we have our female main character Phoebe. So Phoebe is very much into her serial killer things. She's researching it for like college and all of those things. That she is actually moving into her deceased father's house with her brother. In the middle of the night, she is struggling to move her desk into the house because it's too heavy, and this man Sam, as we later find out, offers to help her, but he just ends up scaring her, and she's immediately like, oh, he's a serial killer. Like, what is he doing out in the middle of the night? Like, what the hell? So it goes on from there. This book deals a lot with grief, and there is a lot of, I wouldn't say miscommunication, but our heroine is very frustrating. She kind of leads our hero on, and then when push comes to shove, she kind of runs away from this whole relationship. I thought it was valid enough. It's just, what more can I say about this book? It was good for what it was. I don't remember much about it, so that's why I'm thinking more of a 3.5 star. But yeah, you guys, I don't know. I mean, I will continue to read Alicia Thompson's book. That's all I got. Anyways, moving on because I feel like I'm just saying a whole bunch of nothing. Next book that I ended up reading was The Gargoyle from General Management by Kate Pryor. I gave this one 3 stars just because while I was reading this, I felt like it dragged. It dragged so long. I was like, when is this gonna be over? But it is a novella. It is the 3rd book in Kate Pryor's little series, so I did want to go ahead and finish it, which I did. We have our main male character Vlad and our female main character Gwen. So Gwen is a siren and Vlad is a gargoyle, and they're going on this business trip and they kind of end up in each other's beds. Then they have to like figure out what they're gonna do because of work and the repercussions of that. Yeah, it was good for what it was. The spicy scenes were good, but yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Pretty average. Then I ended up picking up The Orc Prince by Kwa Hudson. I'm not sure how to say this author's first name, so I do apologize if I butchered that, but I gave this book 4 stars. I really loved it, and I really wanted to read this. This was like kind of random pickup for me. I really wanted to read it because first of all, I thought it was a standalone, which it's not. It's a duet, and I did not know that. And these are pretty chunky, I believe, but we have our main male character Igor, and then we have our female main character Arya. Arya is the queen of this land, but she's in a very abusive and unhappy marriage. Her husband is actually gay, but he's so mean and so bad, and he's like currently in a relationship with like his second in command, and like they torture her like mentally, and like they're just so abusive towards her. And then the second in command actually gives her a chance to like run away because he wants to be with the king, but like obviously he can't be with the king, like it's like frowned upon. But she takes this opportunity and she runs away, and our heroine ends up running into the arms of Igor. Igor is an orc, and this is their romance. Igor really like nurses her back to health. There is a lot of caretaking in here, and it is a spicy romance as well. I just overall love the relationship. It was giving very much like just domesticated romance, if you will. It's just Igor like being everything that Arya ever wanted in a marriage. Then the ending kind of picks up a little bit more in plot. It all just kind of goes haywire. So Arya's husband comes back and like rescues her, and she's currently also pregnant, so they think that it is the king's baby, and there's that whole plot with that. And then that made me jump into book 2, but sadly with the Orc Queen book 2, I DNF'd it at 37%, so essentially I gave it 2 stars. Not that it was bad, but I hated it. I just really wanted them to have their HEA and be done with, but like the plot kept going, and now Arya had to like kind of portal to Igor's world and be like the orc queen essentially. But like they spent a lot of time apart, and then the part where I DNF'd it, the last thing I remember is that he was gonna go on the front lines and she was gonna have to stay back with the orcs, and I'm just like, I don't care about that. Like I don't know. First of all, I didn't know it was a duet. I thought I was gonna get my HEA, so that's why I absolutely loved the first book. And then when I found out it was a duet, and then I picked up the second book, I was like, okay, you know, like I'll pick it up. I wanna get their HEA, and then it just kind of fell apart for me, and I just ended up not caring. So I DNF'd it, which was sad. I mean, the first book was really good, and maybe you'll want to continue, but I didn't. So enough about that one. Next up, I ended up picking up Sanguine by Sierra Simone. I actually gave this 4 stars. I loved this, and the only reason it's not 5 stars is because I wish it was longer. I wish it was like a full-length novel. So we have one of our heroes named Bastian. He's actually a vampire, and I just want to see Sierra Simone just do a lot more paranormal. Like I do. And then we have our other hero. So this is an MM romance. We have our other hero, Aaron. He is a vampire hunter priest. Well, he used to be a vampire hunter priest. This is their romance. So essentially Aaron sees Bastian feeding one night, and he's like totally intrigued by him, and he ends up pulling up to Bastian's home and essentially asking him out on a date. And Aaron is your shy virgin hero, so a little bit of that. And then we have Bastian, which he's a little bit more of a otherworldly, cocky, confident vampire, and I loved their romance. I love Sierra Simone's writing. I just wish it was longer, but I loved it. I gave it 4 stars. There was literally nothing wrong with it, so essentially it's 5 stars, but it was so good. I loved it. I loved everything about it. Wish it was longer. After that, I ended up picking up Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I actually filmed a reading vlog for this book. It should be coming up sometime in December. I never filmed my final review for that weekly reading vlog, so I'm gonna have to do that, but it's been a couple of, I mean, it's been weeks since I've finished that book, and originally when I first finished the book, I gave it 5 stars because I did absolutely love it, and I was just kind of riding that high. But now that I've had like weeks to process, I think it's more of a 4-star. So I think I'm gonna give it a solid 4-star because I did love the first book. Like, I really did love it. I loved Violet. I loved Xaden. You guys already know it is dragons and just like this dragon college, which I knew that it was new adult or like adult. Is it? I think it's new adult, and I just didn't think that it was gonna be college setting, but it was. Think Hogwarts, but like for dragon riding. So it was very interesting. I loved the plot. I loved the characters. I loved the romance. It is spicy, but it is a slow burn. It was so good, and you just fall in love with all of these characters. And Rebecca Yarros does not shy away from killing characters, and you just see so much like action with the dragons, and I just loved being in that setting, and it was just so atmospheric. I just overall enjoyed and loved my time reading it. I was giggling, kicking my feet, as you guys will see in that reading vlog. Stay tuned for that. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna end up giving it a solid 4-star. I did not jump into Iron Flame right away. I do want to read it before the end of the year though, so I've heard mostly bad things about the second book, but we'll see. I'm gonna go in it with lowered expectations. I feel like I went into Fourth Wing with really high expectations, and not that they weren't met, but I think I'm just gonna overall lower my expectation for the second book. And more so, I already know what I got from the first book, so I'm gonna just assume that we get a lot more of what we got in the first book and the second book with a little bit more plot, hopefully. So anyways, moving on. Then the next couple of books that I ended up picking up, these are novellas. These are the novellas in the One Night series by Donna Isili. Average rating for all of the books overall for the series was 4 stars. I loved this series. First book that we have here is Games We Play. This was actually a reread of mine. I gave this one 4 stars upon reread. Our main hero, his name is Jack, and we have our female main character Quinn. So Quinn goes to Jack's house for an interview because Jack is a masked video game player. There is a lot of degradation kink in this one, so if you like that, definitely pick it up. Donna does smut just so well, and I think she does also build up the characters really well as well. And I just really loved the romance, and it was just a smutty good old time like every single one of these books that I'm about to talk about because I binged the series. So second one was Secrets We Hunt. I give this one 4 stars as well upon reread because I did reread this one as well. This one is Wes and Zoe's story. So they were childhood friends to estranged and then to lovers. This one had definitely a little bit of a breeding kink in there. It was super smutty, super hot, and we have a very protective hero, and it was overall really, really good. I really enjoyed it. Gave it 4 stars. Then I ended up reading Burdens We Carry, but this one is my favorite one out of all of them, and this one I gave 4 stars as well. We have our hero Owen and our heroine Aurora. This is an arranged marriage one. Owen is in the mafia essentially, and I guess so is our heroine. Our heroine is so unique, but Owen sees her and he's immediately enthralled by her, and I just love their romance and how sweet and like innocent it was, but also how much they explored the little kinks. And there's also like this orange story which I just really, really enjoyed, and I just loved it. I low-key wish it was longer and like more of a full-length novel. That's how good it was. And yeah, virgin heroine, all of that. It was so good, you guys. And then the last book that I ended up reading first half of November was the last book in the One Night series called Desires We Seek. This one I did not really love. I gave this one 3 stars. This one is between our heroes Owen and our heroine Aurora, but this relationship from my favorite one turns into a menage. It turns into a throuple, including Hudson, which is another character in this little friend group. They kind of just like all travel together. They all meet. Obviously they all have to meet Owen's wife Aurora, and Owen has been very open and communicative with Aurora because Owen and Hudson, they kind of had something, and we do see that in Secrets We Hunt. I didn't think it was going to go anywhere because he was going to be arranged married it to Aurora. Then in the final book they turn into a throuple, and then Hudson ends up like really liking Aurora, and they kind of just turn this into a bigger relationship. It wasn't my favorite just because I liked Owen and Aurora by themselves. I do really wish that maybe we could have had Hudson be in his own relationship and possibly have it be an MM romance. But anyways, it was fine. I enjoyed it for what it was. There were a lot of kinky things in here. It was very smutty. There is a fire play. I don't think I've ever read a book with fire play in it, so definitely check that one out if you want some of that. But overall, yeah, that series average 4 stars. I need to read more of her novellas just because they're just so smutty and good. But those were all of the books that I read in the first half of November. Let me know what your favorite book of November is. If you don't want to comment any of that, then go ahead and leave me a fire emoji down below in the comments. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye, guys.